welcome to Power 102 Digital. It is the Power Breakfast Show. The Richards twins in this morning. I should say the triplets. We got Paul Richards. We got Richard Raghuparsing. We got Ruben. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. We'll keep you company until 9 o'clock. Of course, we just had our news brief. We'll have major news with Evie coming up at 7 o'clock. All right. That is in 54 minutes. That's right. And some seconds. It is 5 minutes after the hour at 6 o'clock. Let's get straight into the WTs, see what's happening. I tell you, the roads were extremely light all day yesterday. I got a little volume from Claxton Bay towards Couva. Of course, Riverhead Road is beginning to build. Apart from that, I have nothing to tell you about. All right. Getting into the W's, the weather. It is light rain with thunder and 26 degrees at Piarco International Airport. It is 28 degrees with showers in the vicinity at Crown Point in Tobago. What the Met Office is saying for our weather for today. Have they updated it from yesterday afternoon? I'm checking here. No, they have not. But pretty much what they're saying is, I'm not even seeing today's forecast here. All right, when I get it, I'll let you know. All right? Yeah. All right. It is in Toronto. 19 degrees, same as here with a little drizzle as I came into Port of Spain. Miami, 29. Orlando, 26. New York, you're 22 with a drizzle. Atlanta, 24 and clear. London, 20 degrees and partly cloudy. Tampa, you're at 27. And Washington, D.C., you're sitting at 24 degrees. All right. So that's the WTs. Let's use Sunday's Hellos first thing via our mobile app and our website at power102fm.com. First off the gate. Yeah, Garcelia, good morning to you. Maria Marva, it's after midnight we come, not before midnight. All right, so Garth, DJ Ray out in Delaware, good morning. Oliver Manwaran, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona. Trini in Boston, good morning. Wendy Ann in San Juan, good morning to you. Whoa, a whole bunch of messages came through on YouTube. The Great, good morning. Marcia Rock, Rena Boodoo Jennings, Mo Gaines, Doreen Pierre, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube as we stream on all platforms. And then we throw it across to Paul Richards. Good morning to you, my friend.
Morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
What's happening? What's happening?
One day later, same result.
Same result. Deja vu.
Not precisely the same result, but generally the same results.
Generally, from 2019, to 2023. Yeah.
Generally the same results. PNM
the same
retained their 7 corporations. The UNC retained their 7 corporations.
7-7. Of course, when I went to vote yesterday, there was not a person in sight.
I'd be surprised if it crosses 33% voter turnout.
Yeah, not a person.
With all the noise and all the hullabaloo and all of that, I'm convinced now that Trinidad and Tobago does not particularly give 2 hoots about local government election.
No, they don't.
On a large scale. As if after that, those campaigns and those new parties joining and all the noise and hullabaloo, people still really like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I think it speaks more to people's appetite for confusion and bacchanal. In a large sense that people just didn't hear a lot of issues, and it was more about who do what and who do what and who do when, and this one is she and that one is crook and this one is that, and so like, is that kind of.
I didn't hear anything about issues.
Well, the PNM stood on the reform, but in the middle of all that, it still was basically focused on Mrs. Prasad Bissessa and UNC personalities. And of course, the UNC is focused on Dr. Rowley and PNM personalities. So while they may have had some issues in between, the UNC was on crime primarily. The PNM was on reform.
Mm-hmm.
It always deviated or drifted into the personality attacks at some stage. So Philip Alexander and Gary Griffith did not make any inroads
No.
in terms of winning any districts. They're both claiming now to be the de facto third party. I don't know how that works.
I'm not saying what I want to say, but
well, I don't know. I don't think it looked good for either of them. But of course, they're politicians, so they will claim some types of victory in some way and some positive news out of this. And they both now say they're looking forward to 2025.
That's expected. They'll regroup and strategize.
Quite interesting. If after all of that, because they both pushed really hard. Watson Duke's PDP also didn't do anything. Nobody saw him. But then when you don't want to talk to people, that's what's happened there. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, but
you know, I guess he's not going to be. I guess he's not going to be the new mayor of Port of Spain after all.
I guess not.
It's tea.
Yeah, I guess not. But it is now come and gone. The elections have now come and gone. They had about 70 or so days of campaigning. I know they were out in their motorcades, their music trucks, and so on. Come out and meet your candidate, and but it'll be interesting to see what a comparison of the voter turnout would have been. I mean, we did ask yesterday in our morning poll. Let me just pull it up here. Would they have a greater voter turnout than previous elections? Let me just take a peek at the results. Yeah, I'll give you the results coming up in about half an hour's time or less. But yeah, that was our poll yesterday.
So
it was very.
I reached out to both Gary Griffith and Philip Alexander, hoping that we can talk to them this morning. Because we'll call Fern Narcissus Scope, the chief election.
We'll also speak with we'll also speak with Brian Manning from the PNM side, and of course we'll try to get on to Khadija Amin from the UNC as well. So we've got a busy morning already. As we, take a look at the results from our elections yesterday, local government election results. It was sad that I voted at the Fatima RSC school in Curep for as long as I can remember. And it's such a shame that every time I go, the school is in a deplorable manner. It has certainly deteriorated over the years. I went into that room and the people were sitting there, and I was sweating like a pig, as if I ever saw a pig sweat. But
I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah, please. No, but it was extremely warm.
I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah, but the school, the room.
That was a little too easy.
Yeah, it was. The room, it really needs some paint and some work. The officers, they were nice. There were two officers there. They were nice. The ladies and the gentlemen were nice at the polling venue.
Well, I think that the EBC needs to be congratulated. I have not heard about any major issues related to the elections processes or the election process. I think all things were in place. All political leaders spoken to, political agents spoken to, seemed to suggest that people had a professional experience going in, getting their names. If they had to do the swearing, they did it. If they were in the green line or the red line, the people who were there seemed to know what they were about and execute their duties professionally. So it seems that all systems were in place. I think it would have also helped that the voter turnout seemed to be quite low. So there was no rush at any point overwhelming the agents at any particular polling station or division. Because, from what everybody who I spoke to yesterday said, when they went in most cases, there was no one in the line ahead of them. If there was somebody in line ahead of them, there were one or two people.
Yeah.
So there was no long line, there was no rush, there was no overwhelming situation for the elections and boundaries officials to deal with. I did not hear the police make any comments about any untoward incidents. I did see Senator Jayanthi Lakshmi speak about some issue where the police asked them to remove some banners. There's part of the law states that you cannot have any paraphernalia or banners up within a certain distance from the polling stations.
Yeah, south of the island. Yes, I did see that on news last night.
And they did ask them to remove, and she said, from her party's perspective, they were within the law in terms of the distance from the polling station required, so they did not comply at that instant. And I think they were left alone. There was one interaction between a woman and one of the UNC persons, and that was minor. It was just verbal.
Yeah, I saw that on news too last night.
And everybody had an easy time exercising their franchises. So that's what it is.
A friend of mine went and voted yesterday. He got in there at 7:30, and he asked, how many people voted before him, just to have a comparison. And he said they told him that he was the first at 7:30.
Yeah.
I said, wow, out in the West that was.
I was talking to a police officer last night, and this was about 8 o'clock, and she was getting reports from officers related to the number of persons they had counted at various polling stations. It was 100, and this was 8 last night, 100, 125, 150 in one instance, 85, 60, and this is after all day of voting, because this was 8 p.m. So they were also getting their numbers in terms of the officers taking a count and sending back to police headquarters to see if they could also have a certain number of counts, because there were officers at all the polling stations and divisions.
There were.
So we see. We expect the Elections and Boundaries Commission, and there recounts in a couple of areas expected. Again, if you're just joining us, both the UNC and the PNM have retained their 7-7 deadlock in terms of the 14 corporations. UNC retained Chaguanas Borough, Sipari, which is now Borough also, Pinal Debe, Regional, Couva, Tabaqui, Talparo, Rio Claro, Mayaro, Sangre Grande Regional Corporations. PNM, Port of Spain and Diego Martin Borough, San Juan, Lavantil, Tunapuna, Piarco, Arima, San Fernando, and Point Fortin corporations. PNM said they fought hard in Grande, but the UNC was able to retain that.
Yeah, and that was a battleground.
Yeah. That seemed to be the battleground. The UNC kind of made some inroads in some areas, according to their accounts. Mrs. Pasal Bissessa, speaking from the UNC headquarters in Chaguanas, said that Sangre Grande increases the UNC's count. They now had 6 out of the 8. They also had 4 in San Fernando. They got back Marabella, South Vista Bella, which ex-councillor Marcus Gedari contested for the PNM. She said also Chaguanas 7 out of the 8 seats, no surprise there. Couva all 15 seats. Mayaro 6 of the 7 seats. Pinal Debe all 10. Siparia 6 of the 9 seats. And Princestown 9 out of the 10 seats. So I guess we get the breakdown later on this morning, or later today, from the Elections and Boundaries Commission, from their counts, because they are the legally designated body to give the official results. Everything else at this point is preliminary and unconfirmed by the Elections and Boundaries Commission.
Alistair Hart is saying I voted around 5:30 yesterday afternoon, and my number was 235 for the day.
Yeah.
Morning, Brenda Isaac, Winston Jones, Slick Money Grip, Riri out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning to you.
You know, it just says what people think of the of
Yeah.
the local government
Wendy,
scenario.
Wendy Ann said, I never encountered long lines yesterday, nor in the past when voting, but I feel less than 33% voted.
Yeah, I think it could be actually less than 2019,
Mm-hmm.
which would tell me, if that indeed materializes as accurate, it would tell me that the campaigns could have turned off people in some way. Because, I mean, and we had several new parties. We had the PDP, PEP, NTA, Reunited Farmers, and several independent candidates. None of them were able to secure any districts.
No.
Gary Griffith said that if you counted up his votes, he got more votes than any of the other third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh parties. And he only contested 31 in an accommodation with the UNC. But I don't know if that strategy worked for Gary Griffith, because it'll be interesting to hear what he thinks if the strategy actually paid off. But of course, he and Philip Alexander both have again said in their minds that they feel, based on their showing in this election, I don't know how you define showing, that they are now the de facto third party in the country. And they were both out campaigning hard. Campaigning really hard. Did Gary Griffith and Jack Warner help the UNC? I don't know.
What I really wanted to hear were the issues around where my area. That is what I wanted to hear. How are you gonna make my area a better place to live? I didn't hear that. All I heard was, I hope I get your support. All right. Vote for the PNM, vote for the UNC, whatever. And I hope I get your support. I didn't hear no issues at all. And there are many issues.
The thing about it is that now that we are now going to go into an era of a new framework for local government, that encompasses or envisions, and when we spoke to the Prime Minister on Friday, he did say that he expects the new system to kick in by January next year, when all things are in place, because not only one or two clauses, only one clause of the Local Government Reform Act has been proclaimed. That's the one that extends this term now, because it now applies to these councillors coming in and these aldermen coming in from 3 to 4 years. Remember, the PNM would have thought that it applied to the old ones, but the Privy Council said otherwise. So now these persons who have been voted in now have a 4-year term instead of a 3-year term. The other aspects are critical in terms of, one, this most supposed to be full-time and not part-time, which means we expect more from them. Their remuneration packages are supposed to be significantly increased. I think Wendell just told us in the past it's about $4,000 now, basically a stipend. But then in the old system, they're allowed to have another job. In the new system, they're not going to be allowed to have another job.
No.
They're going to have a situation similar to the Tobago House of Assembly, where they're going to have Secretary of Finance, Secretary of Infrastructure, you understand? People who will be responsible for particular portfolios. They're going to be collecting property tax from burgesses to be used to do the work in the corporations, according to Local Government Minister Faris Harari. He expects, in some instances, the monies that will go to corporations to triple. He mentioned one was getting 20 million from the government, and based on the number of people living in the area of property tax that is projected to be collected, they should get at least 60,000. The ones that are not able to collect because of the density of population issues will be supplemented, or should be supplemented, by the government. through the Ministry of Local Government, and hopefully it will redound to the benefit of the people, the burgesses in each of these corporations. We'll see. The UNC has said they're not in support of local government, but when the law kicks in, the law kicks in. So we see how it goes in those areas, because I mean, once the law is fully proclaimed, I don't know that you could say, well, I'm not following that. You understand? So we see how it goes. It'll be interesting also to hear what the plan is from now to 2025 for Gary Griffith and the NTA and Philip Alexander and the People's Empowerment, People's Progressive, is it? PDP. The People's Empowerment Party, or the Progressive Empowerment Party, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what their plans are. The People Empowerment Party, Progressive Empowerment Party. I just wanted to get it right. And how they're able now to keep their members motivated. Remember, Gary Griffith, when we interviewed him, said that he thinks that they have been able to be third party, being able to amass and people like to reference. They always like to reference this 180, 200,000 that the COP was able to get in 2008, 2009, as if it still exists. That logic always confuses me. That they automatically feel that because they're a third party, that cadre of so-called non-aligned voters is available to them. And I don't know that it is. Richard also contends that this third force is 200,000 and it's still there. And I don't know that it's not, or many of those weren't disgruntled PNM and or UNC people who just went back into the parties. I don't know that number of people is still available for a third force of non-aligned people. It'd be interesting to see, because I mean, based on the last 2 general elections and local government elections, I haven't seen it materialize, particularly the general elections. I haven't seen that number of people voting for any third party to say that still exists in Trinidad and Tobago and that it's up for grabs by any third party or fourth party force. So I always kind of question when they glibly say, well, we are going after that 180,000 that the COP has gotten. Are you sure it's still there? And available to you? Or that you, with what you're presenting, can attract them? I don't know. I'm always confused by that. How definitively they say that it's there and then they're going for it. I just don't know that it's there. It may be, but I don't know. I've seen no evidence, let me put it that way, in elections, general elections, that it is still there and up for grabs. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Sexy San Fernando is saying, I must say a full marks to the UNC in San Fernando. This is from yesterday. It just came in from my mom, and can you believe that they have people out there removing signage?
I'm glad to hear that somebody brought up that.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see when all these posters and everything are going to come down now.
Yeah.
Good morning to Nadia Sanoa. Good morning to Nadia. Hope all is well. Randy Kelly. Good morning. Eastlyn Alexander. Ian R. Joseph. Good morning to Terrence Brown. All right. And of course,
can we try to call collision now or
that's not right.
Rohan, or I'll send you a number also now.
Where did it go? Yeah, they all asked for a little time to get some rest this morning.
Yeah, but they expect this though.
Yeah.
They're not expecting.
Simon, I have his number.
They expect people to want feedback. Or we could call Miss Mrs. Narcissus Scope and get that out of the way. We did indicate we'd be calling her back this morning. I'm sure she's expecting a plethora of calls from various media houses. So,
all right,
it's
where's
the morning after. It's the morning after local government election 2023. If you're just joining us, the unofficial results are as follows. Both the PNM and the UNC are again in a 7-7 deadlock, with the UNC retaining its Chaguanas Borough and Siparia Borough corporations. The Pinal, Debe Regional, Cuba, Tabaqui, Tel Paro, Rio Claro, Mayaro, Sangre Grande Regional Corporations. Sangre Grande was one of those battlegrounds that the UNC has been able to hold on to. And the PNM, as we're losing one area in San Fernando, held on to the other battleground, San Fernando Corporation. The PNM also won Port of Spain and Diego Martin Borough, because Diego Martin, like Sipario, is now a borough. San Juan Laventil, Tunapuna Piaco, Arima, San Fernando, and Point Fortin corporations. You can also try to call Quasi, Steve. Quasi is always up.
Yeah, the two numbers had this dial went straight to voicemail, so you know the number.
La gente the wheels of the morning. Quasi will be up.
Yeah, Quasi's
I'm surprised Alicia's not answering. Alicia's usually also very early.
Yeah, I just saw a message. I had a bunch of them. I didn't check. She said, "Let me sleep now."
So the UNC is also saying that they won 2 new seats in Mayaro South, Guayari, and Cuba West, Rostonia. The Prime Minister, of course, was at Balizé House, and he said, quote, "Notwithstanding the relentless barrage of hopelessness and anger and whatever else, we went in with 7 areas and we've come up with 7. He says, in the middle of our second term, we in the PNM are very happy that we've performed. He said they fought hard in Sangre Grande, but did not get over the line." And of course, as many have predicted, that keenly contested local government election is really the start of what we're going to be seeing for the next 18 months.
Oh, gosh, yes. Definitely.
Also, heading to 2025. So we shall see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of phones going to voicemail, but they get a response from this gentleman. So let me try him.
Yeah, it's 6:33. We could just start rolling into the newspapers to see what's on the front pages this morning, Tuesday, 15th August. Let's start.
Hang on. Don't do that yet.
Yes, we're still here.
All right. So let me bring in Brian Manning into the fold. Good morning to you. How are you doing?
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you nicely.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Lovely.
Good morning, Mr. Manning. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Dr. Richards. I hope all is well.
All is well. Is all well on your end?
All is well. San Fernando remains in good hands, and we are extremely pleased in the party and the city constituency.
You are San Fernando East, right?
Correct. East.
So give us a sense of course, the PNM. We saw Dr. Rowley's speech last night, and the PNM is happy to have retained all 7 corporations it held before. Is it that? Give us a sense of what happened in San Fernando.
Yes, well, in San Fernando East, we had 4 seats or EDs, electoral districts. We were expecting and hoping to win all 4. And the closest one was in Coquille, Taruba with Teresa Lynch. Fortunately, we were able to win that one, but we lost the Marabella South Vistabella seat by about 12, 14 votes, I believe, and that was with Marcus Kedari. Very close fight there, and I'm sure there's going to be a recount, and we will see how that goes. In San Fernando West, they won 2 of their 5 seats, but that gave us the 5 out of 9 total to retain the San Fernando City Corporation, and we're extremely happy about that.
So you lost. So you lost one of the seats you previously held, one of the districts you previously held. Is that it?
No. The Marabella South Visibility was always in the hands of the UNC.
The UNC, okay.
The councillor, Marcus Kedari, came over from the UNC to the People's National Movement.
So did you retain all your districts in San Fernando?
In San Fernando East, yes, not in San Fernando.
What happened in San Fernando West?
We had some challenges in Marabella West, I believe, and we didn't get the result that we expected. But, there's a lot of work to be done. We understand that going forward, the economy has been challenging, even though it has been trending in the right direction coming out of the COVID crisis. And we are going to continue to work and to provide for the people of Trinidad and Tobago and also implement local government reform, which we believe will inject a lot more activity, work, and opportunity within our communities across Trinidad and Tobago.
But the Prime Minister spoke last night from Balancing House as I'm sure you would have heard, and indicated that given what the PNM had been up against, he was quite pleased with the result.
I would absolutely and completely agree with that. We have endured some extremely trying times in the past few years. Coming out of the COVID crisis, we have had economic challenges throughout the region and throughout the world, actually. High inflation, a challenging economy, and to maintain the status quo or the number of corporations that we had before the COVID crisis, after the COVID crisis, I think is an extremely good showing to the government at this point in time.
Most are suggesting or predicting that voter turnout was low. And before the election yesterday, given the ferocity of the campaigns, both the PNM and the UNC and the other new parties, which failed to attract districts or enough voters to get districts, that's surprising. Did that surprise you also? And why do you think that happened?
No, we expected a lower voter turnout. I mean, one, it is the economy. We accept that, these are challenging times, even though we believe that our economic management has things trending in the right direction. So we expected a lower voter turnout. We also believe that there needs to be an education program. And with reform, we expect to bring the people of Trinidad and Tobago closer to their local government representatives and to be more involved in the entire local government process. And hopefully that will incite and inspire people to come out and vote in larger numbers during local government elections.
It's interesting that you connect the state of the economy with low voter turnout. I fail to see that connection, given usually I'm thinking if it's a high-stake election, and it was a high-stake election for both the PNM and the UNC for the very, very different reasons. And based on the kinds of campaigns that we saw, both the PNM and the UNC put on, and the smaller parties, that we would have been able to encourage more people to come out and vote with the local government reform banner the PNM ran under, and with the crime banner that the UNC ran under, or the national security banner that the UNC ran under, that more people would have come out and voted because it was seemingly a more high-stakes election for both major parties, but not so.
No, the economy is always a major issue in any election. And to quote a famous American politician, it's the economy stupid. The economy is always a major point in any election in any country. So that played a major role. But also, during the election campaign, the People's National Movement has been promoting local government reform. We have gone through all the entire process of reforming local government so that it is closer to the people, so that revenues raised within the various communities will be spent within those communities to create more opportunities and to ensure that there's a more efficient delivery of goods and services within the local government structure. What the opposition forces did was resort essentially to an accommodation, gimmicks, and desperation. And I think the voting public of Trinidad and Tobago saw right through that. They attempted to distract and to avoid discussing any kind of local government issue whatsoever. They wanted to talk about everything else. And our entire point was, if you do not like local government reform and you're opposed to what it is we are trying to do, what do you have to offer? What is a better way of doing things? And to this day, we have not received any reasonable or sensible answer to that question.
What is the takeaway for the PNM from this election result moving to 2025? What is the lesson, if any, to be learned? What did the people tell the PNM or the UNC?
I believe that it augurs well for our fortunes in the 2025 general election. It also says to us that local government reform is essential so that we can closer connect with the people on the ground within Trinidad and Tobago, and it's something that we will take very seriously. And I expect to see more of our MPs and other persons in public office to be on the ground, meeting with people, listening to their concerns, and to ensure that we can deliver what the people of this country need to be happy and to live comfortable lives.
It would be remiss of me not to throw in the curious fortune that taxpayers have received information about regarding 33,000 persons to get refunds as announced by the Minister of Finance a couple of days ago.
Yes. No, nothing untoward about that.
I didn't say anything untoward about that. I just said it just came a couple of days ago.
Yes, well, we're in the process of giving taxpayers the funds that they were owed, just like we had approved VAT payments recently so that we can pump more funds within the economy. So taxpayers were entitled to those funds. Remember, we didn't plan this local government election. We were basically demanded to have it at this point in time. We were hoping to have it later on in the year. So we were going to do all of these things long before this election was called. You couldn't just come up with paying all those tax returns overnight. It took several months to have things processed. So is
that the first tranche of what is expected to be more returns coming in the next couple of months?
That, yes. Also, the VAT payments are included. We are trying to clear all outstanding debts within the Ministry of Finance going forward. Of course, debts would have accumulated during the COVID crisis. We had our revenues fell to zero. In some cases, oil and gas fell to less than zero. So we are trying to clear all of those to, one, stimulate this economy by pumping funds back into the economy so we can put people to work and to get things going across Trinidad and Tobago.
What will surprise us most about the budget coming up?
I couldn't say, because then it wouldn't be a surprise.
Bryan Manning, I'd like to say congratulations to the PNM and both the UNC on your retaining your 7 seats. And thanks for talking to us this morning. Go get some sleep.
Thank you so much for having me. All the best, guys, and thank you, Trinidad, for your support. We will continue working for you. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bryan Manning, for being with us this morning. All right.
Morning, Raghubar.
Morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and morning to our listeners.
Yeah,
my suggestion is, are you surprised at the results of the local government election? Yes or no? I see you have newspapers.
Yeah,
I do have newspapers. Yeah, I don't think people will be surprised.
Well, I don't know. That's if you have a better question, I'm open to it.
No, we could go with it, but I don't think people will be surprised. Low voter turnouts kind of keep the status quo as it is. At least it tends to.
Mm-hmm. So you can read the paper.
Yeah, I could go ahead with the newspapers.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, the headline, of course, all three dailies are carrying the news of the local government elections, as you would imagine. So the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, TNT split again. PNM and UNC in another 7-7 local government elections deadlock. Rowley, Time for country to move on. Kamla, we gave PNM a run for their money. And there is a picture of both Kamla Prasad Bissessa and Dr. Rowley with a map of Trinidad and Tobago in the middle. And, well, that's basically it. And, well, the map is colored yellow and red. Man killed for not giving cigarette to neighbor. That's also on the front page. And on the, is there anything else? Nope. On the back page, well, it's a wraparound. Third parties fail to impress. PNM and UNC dominated polls. Few districts change hands, but no overall change. And, well, they're just pictures generally of the elections yesterday. Lots of smiling faces. So that's it for the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. Newsday today, front page, another 7-7 tie after intense LGE campaign. PNM UNC stand their ground. That's the main headline. Main picture is of the main picture is of Kamla Prasad Bissessa with her hands raised, and another picture of Dr. Rowley with his hands raised, but they kind of juxtapose them like they're both giving a high five to each other. So that's what the Newsday did.
Which we sure didn't happen. Which we sure didn't happen.
No, we are very sure that did not happen. But it looks, humorous. Chief Sec Rowley, not PM of THA. What that means. And on the back page of the Newsday, CWI Rising Stars Championship, unbeaten TT under-17s whip leewards. Askarali claims national singles crown. All of that is on the back page of the Newsday for today. And I'm going straight on to Daily Express. What did they go with? 7-7 tie. That's the headline on the Daily Express. UNC gains ground in San Fernando, Grande, Tunapuna. PNM makes inroads in Princestown. The main picture is of Kamla. Well, the main picture is of the political leaders, Kamla Prasad Bissessa and Dr. Rowley. And on the back, it's a wraparound. And on the back page, of course, it's people holding up their fingers to show they voted in the elections. And that's it for the 3 dailies.
Yeah, it's all about election results. 7-7. Yeah. All right. So it's 6:47. Steve, results of yesterday.
Yeah, let me give you the results of our poll yesterday. All right. So we did ask you, do you think yesterday's local government election, you thought it would have been a greater voter turnout to previous elections? And our voters pretty much said 64% said yes, 6-4. All right, let's go into this morning's poll.
Are you surprised by the results of the local government election 7-7? Are you surprised at those results? That's our poll this morning. Of course, local government elections consumed us last week and, of course, yesterday. So the results are now out, 7-7. Both parties made made inroads in one way or the other, if you got granular. But ultimately, it's 7-7 in terms of corporations. So are you surprised by the results of PNM 7, UNC 7 at the local government elections 2023? That's our poll this morning. What's your opinion? We'd love to know. Are you surprised at those results? Yes or no?
All right. So 222-8255 North Americans, toll-free number 866-525-1099. On YouTube, you can vote as well. We'd love to hear, see where you are messaging us from. As well as our message board, our mobile app, and website. GNC Auto Security, good morning. Rampage, good morning to you as well. Raul Prasad, Huda Wells, Carol Guevara. Leonard Nightfall says yes. Winston Jones says no. Winston Jones says yes. Kazim Mohammed said no.
Oh, you confused me there.
Yeah, I got confused. It popped up at the same time. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Brandy. Yes.
Raining up on your side?
Yeah, it's overcast and some strong breeze.
Yeah. Some rain is coming. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So send us a message. Okay, good. Right. Huda Wells says yes. Slick Money Grip says yes. All right. Let's see. Anything here?
Good morning, Winston Jones, and good morning, Ray Ray. And good morning, Dorian Pierre. And
Julia S. Batiste says no.
And Rita Jennings. And Marcia Rock. And the GR8.
Trinity in Boston says no.
Julian Batiste also says no.
Yeah. All right.
Julia Batiste.
Are you surprised by the results? PNM 7, UNC 7. Surprised with the results of our local government elections? Kenny in Harlem says, I say no to the poll. Thank you, Kenny in Harlem. Mrs. R says yes. Thank you so much. Trinity in Boston says no. Stretch. Stretch, just yes or no, please.
Are you surprised by the results? PNM 7, UNC 7 in the local government elections. 222 Talk, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web and the apps, you can send your votes there. And that's about it. Or people internationally and outside of North America, you can call 1-868-222-TALK, 222-8255. Are you surprised by the results? PNM 7, UNC 7.
Vaughn Drayton says no. Mo Gaines says no. Slick Money Grip says, where's Mayor Wendell Stephen? When will he be sworn in? Well, we're kidding.
So we've confirmed we'll be speaking to Guy Griffith at 7:06 and Simon De Nobrega, the Minister of Communication, at 7:35.
Stretch says, I was surprised. Thank you, Stretch.
I'm surprised as to the voter turnout, I'll tell you that much. I thought it would actually have had a larger voter turnout, a stronger voter turnout. But just tells me that people just either were turned off by the types of campaigns that were run, or just not interested in local government. You have Vaughn Drayton, Richard?
Yeah.
Vaughn Drayton says what?
Yeah, I said that. Vaughn Drayton says no. Mo
Okay.
Gaines says no. Lincoln says no. 222-8255. Toll free, North Americans. 866-525-1099. So numbers directly into our studio. All right. Are you surprised at the results? Yes or no?
Gloria Grace also says no.
Mm-hmm. Morning, Gloria.
Because we get back to normal now.
Well, our normal, whatever that is.
Or they're going to put down all them posters all over the place.
Yeah, I want to see the campaign.
And not only that, the issue of local government elections is supposed to start ramping up next year, which is not that far away. Not local government, but we're saying general elections.
Yeah, I think this was the start of the general election campaign for 2025.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wayne B says no. Jason Samuel says yes. Maraval on the road says yeah a bit. All right, Maraval on the road. Haven't heard from you in a long time. Hope all is well. Are you surprised by the results? PNM 7, UNC 7.
Yeah. I suppose a lot of people probably just think or feel that local government doesn't matter. that their lives
Or it
are
doesn't
not.
impact them that much. So
Well,
it's
it
not.
does- well, in the sense that it doesn't matter. It doesn't change their lives tangibly.
Mhm.
That you still have to quarrel about water, you still have to quarrel about roads, you're still going to have to quarrel about
Train.
how your community looks, how crime is going on, and that they don't think either party has the solution. Or they don't think either party motivated them that they could transform or change that. And are they wrong? Who knows?
Lincoln says, but Wendell called it.
And that's a see, man.
Yeah, boy. I
Well,
don't
the
know what
country,
happened.
obviously, I should say the voting country is obviously very split.
As with general on a national
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah.
As with on a national scale, the map look almost the same like they did before. Well, it was the
Yeah.
same as they did before.
It's really the independent voters that changes things. And obviously, a lot of independent voters probably didn't feel motivated. Well, they probably don't feel motivated to vote for LGE, along with other voters, because I have so many friends who would just friends and family who just not interested in voting, and some of them are just fed up with both, and they're just.
Well, when
saying,
the campaigns focus on personalities as opposed to primarily issues, I mean, as I said earlier on, the PNM focused on their banner reform, but the UNC focused on citizen security and crime. But in between all that was personality pronging, calling this one that, that. You understand?
yeah.
It turns you off at some level.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, more of this.
Ish out in Malik says no. Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona says my answer to the poll is no. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Lincoln says some people won with less than 200 votes, and that's very telling. If you could win with 200 votes,
Mm-hmm.
if you could win with 200 votes, I mean, come on, a district with 200 votes, that says a lot about a level of apathy toward the whole process. You know, so both parties can claim some level of victory. Both the PEP and the NTA are claiming that they're the de facto third parties. As I said earlier on, people like to talk about this 180,000, 200,000 votes that up for grabs because the COP did it in 2008, 2009, and I don't know that it still exists. I've seen no evidence it exists since then. Where's the evidence? Past mere speculation that it happened then, so it's still available.
Well, that's a good data point to start at, Paul, quite frankly.
But that doesn't mean it's still there.
Well, I think it obviously is still there. Those people didn't die. But
well, that doesn't mean that they didn't reassimilate into both the PNM and the UNC.
It doesn't mean that
it didn't fall out to the sky before it materialized. It had to come from somewhere. It's not that the COP was able to get 180,000 who never voted before.
Logically, there is that category of voter because you.
But what I'm saying is that it didn't come out of the sky. It came out of disaffected PNM and UNC voters. It's not 180,000 who never voted before.
Wow, there's some strong wind blowing here, boy.
Yeah, that's right.
It's got some rain coming. I'll give you a weather forecast coming up just now.
Alexander
says, I am surprised. Ms. Maloney, morning, Dudu, says no.
Says no?
Yeah, that's Ms. Maloney. Did I do Carol Guevara said no?
I don't know. I can't remember. No, look, it's not coming up.
Yeah.
Morning, Eastland. Yeah, it did. The 200,000 voters is not people who never voted before 2010 to say that they just fall out of the sky. They came from somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
and they may have reassimilated into both the PNM and the UNC. They didn't just go.
I think it's the most jaded group in the sense that they don't think that You have to really
But
motivate them to come out.
well, after they see what happened with this, you pretty much tell themselves not me again.
No, exactly. No, I think you're right.
Yes.
Because the CUP disappointed many people.
Sexy San Fernando says no to the poll. H.S. Wilson says no.
And that's why I said I don't know if they're still there and available, or maybe the right third force hasn't come around yet.
Yeah. Good morning,
To
caller.
edge them out of their moorings.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Oh, that wind is worrying.
What?
Go ahead, Zena.
No, I'm not surprised. Just the country is split down the middle. People, they heard too much about the general election issues, and they didn't buy into the local government. You see, people here just want to see things first. They don't want to hope that it will happen. So you mean you must get the road fixed first, you must get water in your pipe before that could happen. So
They ain't taking cat and bag no more.
well, let's see. They had the government had to try to get funds somehow, somewhere. So we don't print money here. So I don't know how
You wake up after Saturday, girl.
understand that.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
All
I
right.
see in your hot pants in the hat. I see in your hot pants, girl.
I was looking hot, eh?
Yeah, you're looking hot.
Yeah, I have to.
Anyway, news is next. Thank you, Zena.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It's a 7-7 tie again for the UNC and the PNM in the local government elections. In the middle of the party's second term in office, its leader says he believes the PNM has done well in the election. Meanwhile, leader of the UNC says the party gave a good showing, making inroads in areas where the PNM has traditionally had a stronghold. And Donald Trump and 18 others charged in Georgia election inquiry. Details in a moment. This is News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bob. Good morning. It's a 7-7 tie once again. The People's National Movement and the United National Congress each won 7 of the 14 regional corporations in yesterday's local government election, a repeat of the 2019 LG election results. The PNM kept the Diego Martin, Port of Spain, San Juan Lavantil, Tunapuna Piarco, Arima, Point Fortin, and San Fernando corporations, while the UNC retained Couva, Tabaquí, Talparo, Mayaro, Rio Claro, Pinal Debe, Princestown, Saparia, Sangre Grande, and Chaguanas. The UNC won all 15 seats in Couva, Tabaquí, Talparo, getting the new Couva Roystona seat and all 10 seats in the Pinal Debe Regional Corporation. However, the ruling party lost some ground in Sangre Grande and San Fernando. The Sangre Grande Corporation has moved from 5-3 in the UNC's favor to 6-2 in the UNC's favor, with the PNM losing the Valencia West seat to the UNC candidate Neil De Silva, a former Olympian. The PNM lost an area in the San Fernando Corporation but retained that corporation. PNM also held its other strongholds in the East-West Corridor and Point Fortin. In the San Fernando Corporation, while the control remains with the PNM, the seat distribution moved from 6-3 in the PNM's favor to 5-4 in the PNM's favor. Marcus Gedhari, who crossed over from the UNC to the PNM, lost by 12 votes in the Marabella South seat he had won by 130 votes in 2019. The PNM lost the Marabella seat by 27 votes. It had narrowly won this district in 2019 by 87 votes. There will be recounts in both these seats. Meanwhile, the PNM registered again in the Princestown Corporation, where the UNC had previously held all 10 seats. The PNM won 1 seat there. All things told, however, there was no major change in the political power balance in this local government election. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Raleigh cited victory in Diego Martin, Port of Spain, Piarco, Tunapuna, Arima, Point Fortin, and San Fernando, and 1 seat in Princestown. Speaking with reporters at Balize House on Monday night, he said in the middle of the party's second term in office, PNM has done well. Questioned on what's next for the PNM, Dr. Rowley said now that the elections are over, it's time to focus on the operational side of an improved local government system and getting ready for the next general elections.
I have absolutely no doubt that as we transition through local government and bring about the devolution that we have promised, that the nation will see the benefits of setting out to do things differently and to do things better. Local government reform is not something that we dreamed up here. It's something that we have worked on as a nation for the longest while.
The Prime Minister called on the opposition to support the transition into an upgraded local government arrangement.
Well, the election has been called. The results are now known. That is now behind us. It's water under the bridge. We are now moving forward to the general election, which is the next election that is due in Trinidad and Tobago. Serious work to do as a nation. And we in the government, we are responsible for making decisions. We have had to make a number of decisions that have not found favor with people who are affected by it personally, but in many instances, you may have to do things for the wider national interest.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader says the UNC is determined to work harder on doing its part to address crime, unemployment, build the economy, and address other challenges facing the nation at this time. Political leader of the UNC, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, speaking at the UNC headquarters on Monday night, said the party has performed well and gave a breakdown of the electoral seats it secured victory. The member of Siparia said the party gave a good showing, making inroads in areas where the PNM has traditionally had a stronghold.
We have increased our seats in Grandy by 2 more seats. Battleground Grandy. We have narrowly lost seats in Tunapuna. 1 seat, I'm told, was lost by 1 vote. In a seat that we have never won before. 1 seat. Again, in Arima, we gained tremendous ground. 1 seat lost by 9 votes. So, we will have to challenge that. PNM lost votes in almost all the seats in Trinidad. And then we have gained in traditional areas, PNM areas, we have gained in those seats, many of them very, very close margins. In Diego Martin, the accommodation gave the PNM a run for their money in Diego Martin. I do not have the final numbers, but at the end of the day, we would have gained the popular vote. That is more votes than the PNM in the entire election.
The opposition leader says irregularities which our party picked up during Monday's poll cited the need for election observers to be present for the local government election. Speaking with the media on Monday after casting her ballot at the Hermitage Village Presbyterian School, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar said a complaint was made to the EBC relating to ballots and envelopes which appeared to be tampered with. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar defended the UNC's position, which was not endorsed by the Prime Minister, relating to the presence of foreign observers for Monday's poll.
We will do whatever we can to get, democracy and transparency in this electoral process. We will do what we have to do, certainly. Okay? That is why we pressed it repeatedly. It's a hotly contested election. We repeatedly call for international observers. The Prime Minister has a different view. I totally disagree with that.
Meanwhile, the National Transformation Alliance has written to the relevant authorities to seek their guidance relating to allegations of election day actions by the leader of a political party. It describes the leader's actions as disturbing. NTA claims restrictions on advertising and campaigning of election day may have been violated by Facebook posts. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, former U.S. President Donald Trump has been charged with attempting to overturn its 2020 election defeat in the state of Georgia. It is the fourth criminal case brought against him in as many months. Mr. Trump, who is the leading Republican candidate for president in 2024, was indicted along with 18 other allies. He denies all 13 charges against him, which include racketeering and election meddling. He has said they are politically motivated. Georgia prosecutor Fani Willis first launched an investigation in February 2021 into allegations of election meddling against Mr. Trump and his associates. In a 98-page indictment made public late on Monday, prosecutors listed 41 charges against the 19 defendants. Well, finally, here is weather news for the period today until midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy to cloudy conditions with intermittent showers and rain over varying areas, mainly during the morning and early afternoon. There's a medium to high chance these showers could become heavy and or thundery at times. Settled conditions as the afternoon progresses, leading to a mostly fair night despite a few isolated showers. Gusty winds and street flooding can occur in the event of heavy downpours. Be alert to cloud to ground lightning activity possible in the event of thunderstorms. A moderate concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere, so persons sensitive to these atmospheric changes should take necessary precautions. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 31 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco is 26 degrees Celsius, and it is 27 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, it's a 7-7 tie again for the UNC and PNM in the local government elections. In the middle of the party's second term in office, its leader says he believes the PNM has done well in the election. Meanwhile, leader of the UNC says the party gave a good showing, making inroads in areas where the PNM has traditionally had a stronghold. And Donald Trump and 18 others are charged in Georgia election inquiry. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update coming your way at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You can join us again come 8 o'clock for our news brief. All right, quickly take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. I got nothing much to tell you. We have a little volume from Piarco towards McCoy and then heavier towards UE. Then after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing in the Port of Spain. Rivulet Road is heavy heading towards Couva, California. Leaving San Fernando, you've got some volume towards Couva. And then Chase Village, you've got some traffic there. Apart from that, that's it. Nothing out of the west. All right? All right, let's get back in. Let's see, we have any more votes. But if we only had proper transportation, okay. Good morning to Anthony Tinto. Fitzgerald Seals, good morning to you as well. All right. And good morning to you, Mr. Gary Griffith. What's happening? The day after the 15th.
Yes, August the 15th. Thank God for that. Thank God it's Tuesday.
Your face looking slimmer. Yeah, that walking you really lost some weight there.
19 pounds later, I'm back.
Look at that.
If you had another week of campaigning, you'll be back to your old form. Good morning.
You look like me.
My general election, I'll be there.
Well, that's true. That's true. Good morning, sir.
Morning. As I said, if there's reincarnation in the next life, if I'm a politician, I want to be a politician in Barbados. Barbados is only flat land. I never knew there were so many hills in Trinidad. Walking up there, oh gosh, in that corridor.
At least you got to learn the country intimately.
I did. Most definitely.
Oh.
Yeah.
The results 7-7. Your party was unsuccessful in getting districts. I saw a release which quoted you as saying that you consider yourself the new de facto third political force in the country. Give us a starting, but give us a synopsis of how you thought yesterday went in terms of process and the eventual results, please.
Yeah, well, first, I would like to say that it was a success, 100% success. And you'll say, wait a minute, but they didn't win a seat. I'm speaking about Trinidad and Tobago. Paul, when you look at what happens around the world with politics, sometimes we criticize ourselves, we give ourselves a poor grade in certain things. But looking at the politics that you have seen worldwide, where sometimes civil war takes place during election campaign and so forth, we went through a grueling campaign for 2 months. And there was not one major incident that would have taken place. And that augurs well for a country. And it is good. It's good to see that regardless of your concern and your emotion and your passion for the politics, you would have not seen any conflicts, hostility, serious situations where persons were injured or even killed, as we have seen worldwide, which is good. I wish to thank each and every citizen of this country. Sometimes politicians may ignite that flame to cause that type of division, but you didn't see it. You would have seen the harmony, the banter, the old talk, especially with political parties on the road, and that is good. And so we are on the right track as a country. I wish that all politicians can continue to try to find a way to unite the country. So that's the first thing. I think it was a success in that we had a democratic process. And again, as much as there would be concerns, people speak about the EBC and discrepancies, I can honestly state at this time, there's nothing that we could see that would have taken place that caused there to be some degree of irregularity to the point of deliberate mischief to ensure that one party would have been successful over the other. Yes, there would have been several mistakes, several hiccups. The one major concern, as just discussed on the news, is that how could you, as a political leader, go on election day and tell people how to spoil a ballot? I mean, that is the type of leadership sometimes we would have seen. You go on social media and say, if our party is not there and you don't see and you want to make a statement, this is what you have to do to spoil a ballot. I mean, you can't be more disgusted than that. And then that same party promoting itself on election day to tell people how to vote and who to vote for. But again, that shows the immaturity of those type of parties. The UNC and the PNM, congratulations to them. It continues to show that our country is no different to the United States, Democrats and Republicans. But my final point is going back to the NTA. The reason I said, Paul, that we have now become the de facto third party is that in all the other parties, the PEP, the MSJ, the PDP, I think they would have all lost or deposited almost every single seat. We became that party that gave the PNM the ultimate run for their money. There were seats, the 31 seats that we took part in, PNM got 40,000 votes in 2019 combined. The UNC, being the main second party, got 13,000. So we went into the belly of the beast. We went into the 31 most difficult seats that the PNM had. And from that difference of over 27,000, we cut that by almost half. There were seats that most of those 31 seats, PNM would have been successful in by over 750 votes in most of them. We were able to cut that in some seats by less than 200. La Forest and Lopino, they won that in 2019 by over 1,000. We brought it to 175. A few seats in Diego Martin as well. We didn't lose our deposits. So it showed that we were there. We gave the PNM a good run for their money. When you have a political party with a leader with 60 years that will spend most of his time in a pre-election campaign attacking the political leader of a party that's just less than a year old, it showed that we did well. We were able to cut that gap. And I think we played a very big part towards ensuring that the PNM did not win, because they were going to put all their resources into Sangre Grande in the hope that they can win whole San Fernando. But because we, NTA, took part in the campaign in Sangre Grande and San Fernando, it played a part to the result.
Do you think your decision to have an accommodation with the UNC was successful? Did it help the NTA or did it hurt the NTA?
Well, everything you do in politics, there's going to be the good and the bad. Persons have told me, you should have stayed the straight path. But again, as I mentioned, our politics is based on our constitution. It gives no room for a third party to go on its own. And because the reason you get into politics, Paul, is to serve people. A third party cannot serve persons unless it is that you form coalitions with other political parties. It is not going to work. I'm a realist. So this thing, no, you should stay on your own. I cannot afford for us to hope that we can build something so that in 2030 or 2035, a third party can be something that is that dynamic that they can win without the UNC. It is not going to happen. The ONR tried it in 81, they got 91,000 no seats. The NAR tried it in 91, 127,000 no seats. The COP tried it in 2007, 147,000 no seats. It is not going to work. Our constitution does not allow for proportional representation. The first past the post would always be A or B. We have to make sure that, listen, we become part of that, having our own identity, having our own principles and so forth, and making sure that we can form a strategic alliance and have that mutual respect so that we can have the opportunity to serve persons. So as much as certain persons may have left, I consider those individuals, they're really a PNM, but just vexed with the PNM. So you wanted us to stay as a third party because you wanted to join us because you're vexed with the PNM.
But some suggest that third force that was able to materialize between 2007 and 2009 were disaffected PNM and UNC voters that decided they didn't want any part of them, and they decided to support a party that they thought at the time gave them some sort of new hope. So do you think the NTA has been able to re-energize that particular group, especially in the context of a low voter turnout? And part two, why do you think there was a low voter turnout despite these vociferous campaigns by the PNM, the UNC, the NTA, the PP, etc.?
Yeah, and you're correct. You are correct. So the COP, when they had the 147,000 votes, that was based on the fact that they were still alone. When they joined with the UNC in 2010, that number could have been cut by probably one third, because persons would have gone back to the PNM when they did that. Because as I said, that third party will really be persons who just despise both parties or just disenchanted with those parties and they come in. So when it says you make a decision, they will shift. And so the same thing would have taken place with us. If we stay on our own, we will very well go into 2025 general election with 175,000 votes. And yet again, we will not get a seat. So it doesn't work. So as much as you can get more support by doing it, the end result is what matters. And that is what is important. So the low voter turnout is the typical aspect of our country. They do not see local government election as anything of substance. They see it as fixing box drains and seeing about potholes in roads. And with that, the majority of those persons who vote are the base support. So regardless of all of the concerns, all of the complaints, they work on the tribal politics. That is where you get the shift of the 30% in local government. But in general, when you get to the 60%, is when, as again, the Prime Minister said it. He said, all the things that we were speaking about, it is going to be irrelevant in the scheme of things of the average voter who actually turns up for local government election. Speaking about, I mean, when you have an opportunity to say that, listen, Gary Griffith, I am willing to come here and assist your corporation, and this is like Diego Martin, I am willing to come to make you safer, to provide you with a better opportunity to survive. And you're saying, well, I really don't care now. This local government election, I'm a PNM till I die. That is where that 30% the focus is on. General election, you get persons who may be more independent-minded, and that is where they come out, and that is where the difference will take place with that third constituency. But may I quickly add, had it not been for the NTA, the PNM would have very well cut inroads into Sangre Grande and made it even a bigger success in San Fernando. So we did our job to the point that when you have a prime minister stating and celebrating that he did not lose and it could have been worse, he spent most of his time going after myself on his platform. He never spoke about the PP, the MSJ, the Watson Duke's party. And so it showed that he knows what his concern is. His concern is the NTA working with the UNC. The other parties were irrelevant in the scheme of things, and they would continue to do so. But may I add, Paul, is that this is not about the NTA and the UNC teaming up against the PNM. There are other political parties that we intend to have a dialogue with, because what I'm looking at is that concept of the NAR. I intend to speak to Mr. John Humphrey and others, find an avenue to have dialogue with all of these other parties, Hope, at the MSJ itself, the Congress of the People. And there are other parties that may be seen as insignificant, but they are not. These parties have good people. We intend to work with them, and the building of that, along with the UNC, would always spell defeat for the PNM.
But beyond the issues of LGE not attracting voters, because voters, and why are voters not attracted to vote in local government elections? Because over the last few decades, they don't see that it yields any tangible benefits to them to vote. So let's assume 40% of the electorate voted for the local government elections, and that's pretty high. But let's assume it's 40%. So it means 60% of the country had no interest in voting for the parties, no matter what the rhetoric was, whether it was PNM, UNC, NTA, PEP. They were just disinterested in thinking that me voting in local government elections does not matter.
600,000 people.
It does not change my life.
Yes. Sorry, Paul. What did you say?
Just adding to Richard and saying 600,000 people effectively.
Yeah.
With what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying that this doesn't matter. It doesn't change my life. And how much of that, I mean, it remains to be seen, but you must admit when you speak to people on the ground that there's a lot of the electorate that is jaded by both parties. And even the smaller parties, they're jaded by the political process in the country because they don't think that they are leaders that are inspirational. They don't think that our leaders are transformational, and that the parties themselves are not that different. And so therefore, there is no clear vision that I am completely different. I am about transforming Trinidad and Tobago to be this kind of space. And the discourse and the level of interaction, including yourself, Gary, in terms of how politicians talk to each other, is disheartening to people who have to face the groceries, who have to face landlords. Up to now, we have no rental law that deals with dealing with the relationship of landlord and tenant in a tangible way that seeks the interests of tenants. And why? My opinion is because a substantial portion of Parliament, both in the Senate and in the House, are landlords. So people on the ground don't see that the political system, in large part, reflects in improving their lives. And then you have the discourse that takes place. You, of course, will not take any retort that comes from the Prime Minister lightly. You feel the need to retort back. Kamala will say whatever she has to say. Dr. Rowley says what she has to say. And it becomes like a schoolyard with children babbling who are saying, we are the leaders of this respective gang, and we vex with you, and it's a shouting back and forth. And the electorate is like, yeah, but my grocery bill and what I pay for $500 is now dropped to $200 while you all squabble. Why should we vote?
Yeah, well, all right. I agree with you, Richard. So 2 points. Firstly, good color jersey you're wearing this morning. I appreciate that. the second, and you're correct. But you see, as much as you say that, I don't want us to feel that we are trying to undermine the intelligence of citizens in our country. Because as much as you say that, Richard, you're given it can give the impression that we are saying, look, Trinidad and Tobago, we are illiterates and we continue to blindly follow two major political parties. So you're basically casting aspersions on, I roughly will say is about 200,000 people that will, if Keith Rowley or Kamala Persad-Bissessar, whichever political leader, they could probably go downtown and do whatever, and people, they will still be supported.
I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah, no, but it happens. I mean, when you look at what has happened in this government with the things that Keith Rowley would have done in any other country in the world, there would have been a snap election because of decisions made. But still, 200,000 plus persons will still vote for him. And the same would happen with the United National Congress. So there will always be that base support. Politicians go out of their way to ensure that there's division at times because the race card will always pop up. It is the norm. Let us bring back and solidify our base. So there's a serious division in this country in that type of, with that racist politics. So you're going to get that 200,000 on either side, and that's holding. You are speaking about that 150 to 200,000 persons who may not be PNM or UNC till they die, and they are fed up with the politics. They're fed up with of all of that. But where do we go from here? I agree with you. There's nothing I can state that you have said that I can try to defend. Even with myself, again, when you speak about Gary Griffith, when I was Minister of National Security, there was never one incident of me doing anything other than total acting as a diplomat. When I was Commissioner of Police, it was a battle I had to fight with criminal elements. But when you speak, I must fight to defend my name if someone makes false accusations on me. And maybe it is how it is interpreted. People may be offended. But my concern is really and truly what you said, that all of the situations that the people have on the ground, it is not, they're seeing that it's not being dealt with because of this type of possible childish atmosphere that you get from a high political level. And I agree it must stop. But we say that, but the same persons vote for the same individuals again. We have one political party. He spent every single time attacking, discrediting, saying the nastiest things about people. And by and large, he may have acquired probably a couple thousand votes. So there will always be different individuals. With
but you allowed yourself to become part of it.
Well, I beg to differ, Paul. I mean, when you look at everything that I have continued to speak about, the majority has been trying to find ways to build the country, to unite the country. I keep talking about it. I don't think you're going to hear how many political leaders you will hear congratulating the other parties for what they have achieved, congratulating the supporters. I speak about trying to find ways when it is that a man makes lies about me and I still say, listen, I'm willing to help you in reducing crime. So my personal, so when you say that, Paul, I beg to differ. I'm not saying that I am perfect. I have made mistakes, but my concept is always trying to find a way to unite the country. I can't expect to despise or hate Keith Rowley when he's my prime minister. I do not want him to fail. I will never want him to fail. We will have our differences, and I will always be willing to assist him. But if suppose I'm prime minister, I can't expect to want to lead a country but hate half of the country. But if it is that you attack me personally, you lie about me, I am forced to defend myself. And if my defense is seen as being going overboard, if you refer to me as a criminal, apart from me taking you to court, I'm going to expose you for being a liar. I think it is my right, Paul, to say that the things that we have political leaders that have said the nastiest things about people. I have not. All I do is defend myself when wrongfully accused.
What's next for the NTA? Of course, the result is the result. The general election is approximately 2 years off, a year and a half, if you think about it. 18 months at least, because it can be called within that period at any time. I would say that your entry into politics as a political party has been profound. You didn't win any districts, but you are now a national name as a political party, as is the PEP. A little less so the PDP. What's next for the NT?
Well, sorry to throw a little douche there. It can be a little less. But I think they lost their deposit in almost every single seat. We got about 5 times more votes than them. We got probably about, I don't know, we still have to check 20,000 odd votes to about their couple thousand. So PEP was totally annihilated. I think they lost their deposit. I don't know how it is that he could actually go, and refer to himself as a third party. They were totally destroyed. And the same thing that happened with the PDP and the MSJ. So there's only one de facto third party. And so asking what it is we intend to do is to try to find an avenue to get the other political parties to understand this is not about Gary Griffith. It's not about the NTA. This is not about me rubbing shoulders with the UNC to win an election. This is about us trying to find a way to unite the country, doing exactly what Richard just spoke about. People are fed up of the I catch them, and you're coming on a political platform to show some document or some recording, or you hear about something or somebody. People are fed up with that. That does not help them. And that is what all I continue to do. In those 2 months and 19 pounds less later, it was really going out there and seeing and looking at the concerns of the degree of poverty, the neglect that this country has seen. And what is sad, again, is that those places that I went, they went back and voted for the same people that they complained about that they have never seen for 4 years. So it is no longer a cult. It is a cult. It is blind.
So then what does that tell you? If you are suggesting, no matter what you said, no matter what you told them on face-to-face walkabouts, that in your words, people still went back and voted because it's 7-7. So yes, in that respect, they did. What does that tell you about the electorate?
Well, let's put it in perspective. 34 to 35% maybe. Let's say maximum 40% of the population voted. So some of those people did not vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's it. And that is the point. That 34% was really and truly those persons who will be a PNM or UNC till I die, and I'm not going to change it. The general election is when that extra 26% kicks in, and they start listening. Wait, Gary has a policy that is going to bring us back to a degree of safety. This individual is going to ensure economic prosperity. We have people that could improve our health system, our education, our economy, our sports, our culture, our social development. And with that, that is where it is. The third constituency kicks in, which is in a general election, and that's where the NTA comes in. So with that, but still, we were able to cut inroads so much to the extent that I said, a man leads a party with 60 years, spent most of his time attacking one political leader. He never spoke about the PP. He never spoke about the MSJ. He never spoke about Watson Duke. Remember that. The PNM saw total insignificance in those parties. He saw the NTA and Gary Griffith as his main threat, and there was concern. So we became something like the kamikaze pilots in a war, where we went in there to the belly of the beast of those 31 hardcore PNM seats. And had we won any of those, the UNC would have definitely won San Fernando easily and other seats. But what we did is go in there on that front line, and it caused the PNM to take a lot of their resources that they had initially for Sangre Grande and San Fernando to come back to deal with their home base, to ensure that there was some degree of hold and control, because usually PNM versus UNC, there's no need to even go and do any. Colin Imbert spoke about it. So I don't need to campaign.
How do you
just as you lay criticism at Dr. Rowley in terms of what he has said on the platform, there are lots of people who lay criticism at Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and by and large, and that's the party you have aligned yourself with. So do you think Kamala Persad-Bissessar, as the political leader of the UNC, is a valid choice and is the best candidate to lead the UNC in 2025? Because you're 7-7 again.
Yeah, I know, Paul. Richard, sorry, I hear you, but that is not my call. That is not my business. And that is sometimes that is what the problem that we had with the COP. They were getting involved in the affairs of others. I know what the NTA brings. I know that I have a responsibility as the person that is trying to serve that third constituency, that bridge constituency of that 150,000 odd. The UNC, they will handle their business. At this time, I have a good working relationship with Kamala Persad-Bissessar. We communicate constantly. There's mutual respect, good dialogue, which probably did not take place. And that's why what the country wants, you see that third constituency, they just want to ensure that we are not going to be to do the same thing that the COP did. I can give them that assurance. But the decisions that the UNC makes, that's the UNC. I will be totally out of place to make any comment. But again, what we have to also quickly, let me just quickly state, what the PNM can get away with, the UNC can never get away with. The PNM continues to push the narrative about the UNC and Section 34. This was a situation where a mistake may probably have been made, and within 24 hours it was rectified, so it never had a concern. And then if you feel Kamala Persad-Bissessar, imagine she was leading up a government and government officials sign a document to send some 10 police to Barbados to abduct someone, there would be a call for a snap election, or shutting down Petrotrin, or bringing back property tax, or if Kamala Persad-Bissessar went to President Box.
You said government officials signed the document. That's what happened?
Yeah, because as a Minister of National Security and a Commissioner of Police, I am 100% certain, I can tell the country categorically, no police officer can leave our island to go to another country without the authorization of government officials. The Commissioner of Police does not have that approval. So the government is lying when they say that. And that's why no media, our media, they are afraid of Keith Rowley. They will not challenge Cole McDonald Jacob. Did you give approval? Because if he said yes, he'll be arrested. No commissioner could give approval for any police officer to leave the country.
I keep asking, we asked the Prime Minister on Friday about that report from the Commissioner of Police, and he was nebulous at best.
Yeah, that's why.
I don't know that all media is afraid.
He knows why. He will moonwalk like
Mike. We're running out of time, Gary. So your closing comments, please.
Again, I wish thank Trinidad and Tobago. I wish the PNM and UNC supporters, congratulations. And to that third constituency, we have done a tremendous job. We have no third party has cut inroads in a local government election like this, because I said that is where the base support comes in. But we were able to take seats of over 1,000 to cut it down to less than 200. So we have done our job, And again, we have now maintained our threshold in the politics, and we will continue to expand that bridge constituency to ensure that we will not sell out. We will do what is required to make this a great country.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate you coming here today. All right, that was Gary Griffith, the political leader of the NTA, talking, sharing his views on the outcome of the local government election 2023.
All right. On the line, I do have Mr. Simon Nobrega. Good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, Steve. Morning, Paul. Morning to your listeners and whoever else is in studio with you all.
Yeah, we have Richard Raghubar Singh as well.
Good morning, Mr. Minister Nobrega. All right. Well, we saw the Prime Minister's response last night. You, as Communication Minister, may have other information that we'd like to glean. How did the PNM think it did last night? The Prime Minister said, and I'm paraphrasing here, it could have been worse. That's an interesting statement.
Well, I think that 7-7 is a continuation of the status quo. I think that there are a few districts that in which there will be recounts, and we've made inroads into one district in Princestown, which is not a marginal. I think the Prime Minister is correct. It could have been. There was always an issue when you are an incumbent government in its second term, and of course you are tasked with the responsibility.
It almost sounds like he was expecting worse in some way. Am I wrong in that assessment?
No, I think you're wrong there. But of course you plan for the worst and you move expecting the best. So yes, it could have been worse. We could have seen erosion in those corporations that we have responsibility for. While we did see, of course, some movement in a few districts, even in Diego Martin Central, we did see numbers really low numbers in general, but the numbers that we are accustomed to seeing coming out to vote for the PNM, we did see a slight drop in that. But in terms of the numbers that voted against us, from what I have seen so far, Paul, there was really no great shift. The changes did happen in certain polling divisions, and of course, I as an MP will go back to look at those polling divisions to take the lessons. Apologies, Paul. I had a call coming through there. To take the lessons that are to be learned from there, and but the overall message is that the election, by and large, is over, and we go about continuing to roll out reform and continuing business of governance and delivery.
How much of the issue of, well, this was an election where the PNM faced more adversaries, more political adversaries, I should say, in terms of newer political parties. We just spoke to Guy Griffith, and his contention, and I'm paraphrasing again here, so I hope I don't misinterpret, is that because the NTA aligned with the UNC, that may have accounted, and the PNM having to put a lot of attention on, in addition to Mrs. Prasad Bissessa, Gary Griffith, that may have accounted for some reduction, the slight reduction we saw in some of the PNM areas, although the PNM was able to hold on to the 7 corporations it originally held since 2019. How do you respond to that?
Well, anybody who was contesting an election is going to try to take the victories that they can coming out of it. So I have no problem with Mr. Griffith, of course, trying to position their own turnout as a victory. That is his job as a political leader of his own party. But election is over. It is 7-7, and we move on with the governance of the country, both at the central government level and at the local government level, where we will roll out reform.
Low voter turnout. Why do you think that is, in spite of the vociferous campaigns of both the PNM, the UNC, and even the smaller parties?
I think that's two things. One, that that local government has not delivered. I can tell you as a councillor, as a chairman of the then Diego Martin Regional Corporation, local government does not empower the persons that have been tasked with the responsibility of representation. And I think by and large, that has always accounted for a low voter turnout. I think that combining that with a hugely negative campaign that in large part, in the vast majority of their campaign, those persons in opposition to PNM simply spoke about simply spoke about topics that in large part had nothing to do with local government. And as a result of that, it really didn't excite the imagination of their own supporters to come out and vote in large numbers. But the reality is that local government will work. Local government is a positive thing. So the argument had to be moved away from reform and onto very emotional topics. Of course, even the topic of crime, which we acknowledge. But even in treating with it, we try to approach it from a local government perspective, because that was what the election was about.
What do you think? You mentioned earlier on that you were looking inside your own constituency as in terms of the slight losses and trying to get the takeaways, the lessons. What do you think the overall lesson is for the People's National Movement moving to 2025 based on these elections and the campaign leading to the election results?
Well, here's the thing. I have on 2 interviews for the morning. I have said that we need to stop thinking about governance as election to election. So we have come out of a local government election, and immediately the conversation has moved to a general election when it is to come. The lesson here is simple, that 7/7 continues, that local government reform must be implemented, that we must move ahead aggressively to deliver reform, because we have a population that wants to see delivery to them. As far as Diego Martin Central is concerned, yes, and I expect that will take place across Trinidad. We will be looking at polling divisions, looking at performances where we would have won, where we would have lost, where we would have done better, where we would have not done as good as we have in the past. And that process will take place over the coming days and weeks. But it is time to move on from that. It is time not to look at a 2025 election, because that simply puts you into a campaign mode. What we have to focus on is how we govern and how we deliver. And that message should not only be heard by government MPs, but in terms of how we deliver, even for opposition councillors and their MPs. How are we going to utilize reform to best serve the people who have voted for us and best serve the people who we have been tasked to represent?
How do you, connected to that, because you talk about opposition, the opposition representatives in the respective councils that they control, do you think as a ruling party, the PNM has a duty to try and unite the country on the way forward for Trinidad and Tobago? Because we're a small island state and you are in a global competitive environment, and the only way small island states can navigate successfully in that kind of environment is to have a certain unity of purpose, even for local issues like crime and what's happening on the ground in terms of people's lives. How much is that part of the PNM's core belief system?
Richard, I think that is a great question. I think that if you go back and honestly assess the way we have approached governance, it has been to unite. It has been to have a national solution. The only time we've had to move away from that is very often when responding to divisive comments and saying this is not what we are about. And again, I bring it right back because we are talking about local government, and it is important to focus there. There has been too much attempt to distract from what the crux of this was, to distract from what matters in a local government election and local government representation. Local government reform, if there is one thing that is a national solution, it is local government reform. This is not a solution that is going to be rolled out in the 7 PNM controlled and managed corporations. This is a Trinidad solution modeled on the THA, which was a Tobago solution. So you will see a unity of purpose in terms of protection for minority partners in a corporation where there is a majority and a minority. There is protection because the reform legislation empowers those minority partners to chair key committees that will be responsible for delivery. So there is embedded oversight to ensure there is no overreach, to ensure that there is protection. So I can only stand, quite frankly, on the position that this party has always taken, and this government has always taken, that we have a country called Trinidad and Tobago, and that encompasses all of us, regardless of who you vote for, where you live. That has always been our approach. It will continue to be our approach. It is the reason that I gravitated to the PNM as a supporter, and is a reason that I am proud to be a PNM MP and an ex-PNM councillor and an ex-PNM chairman. Unfortunately, able to be a PNM mayor.
Yeah, I hear you, and
we
I just
have to go to our next interview.
Yeah.
Minister, we're happy to have you. Thank you so much. We hope we can have a longer conversation with you, hopefully, when you settle down after this grilling campaign next week or week after, and explore these topics in more detail. Thank you so much this morning.
I'd be happy to, Paul. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you so much, Minister Simon O'Brien, for being on the Power Breakfast Show. Now moving to Philip Alexander, political leader of the PEP. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning to you, listeners, viewers.
Good morning, Philip. Well, give us a sense of how you thought yesterday went, and in terms of your party's performance.
I think the party performed beautifully. I think the machinery of the party has grown in leaps and bounds in 3 weeks. You all would have seen that yourself. The public's response to the party, that has grown tremendously. We've used the local government election campaign to get ourselves into every nook and cranny of the country. We've done that. So now it's about building on that. I listened to your last guest, and he said that the election is over, come out of campaign mode because it's not healthy. That is the most incorrect statement he could make. The campaign mode is the closest thing that the people of Trinidad and Tobago ever get to government responding and delivering goods and services. Your roads get paved, you get water, you get your tax refunds. A lot of stuff happened in the past 2 weeks that were not for election. Belmont, up the steps in Belmont, where the councillor Nicole Young, who was just successful again, she walks through a rubbish pile to get to her office, were not for a local government election. Progressive Empowerment Party, through its candidate and chairman of the party, Felicia Holder, highlighting the rubbish pile that Nicole Young walks through to get to the office, forced the PNM to address it. Now it's been cleaned. The people had it so for 8 years. Now they get in a bin. Campaigning, election mode, The closest thing we get into forcing these two parties to deliver is campaign mode. The Progressive Empowerment Party is going to remain in campaign mode. We're taking a small break. I'm going to give my whole party a family day internal for all the kids who have sacrificed, all the husbands and wives who had to not see their significant other, children, parents, mothers, fathers. We're going to do a nice big family day internally, not a public one, to give everybody a break, having that family day, and coming back hitting hard.
While your parties has been able to establish itself as a political brand in this election campaign in a profound way, you basically lost all your deposits.
I don't know, we found out all of that. The voter turnout was incredibly low. So the conversation that I came in late, I don't know if you had this conversation with your previous guest. The conversation all political leaders have to have in their mind and all political parties have to have right now is why the people are not coming out of it. You could say if it is just TNM and UNC, that it is race and 50% of the 100% willing to divide itself into 1.5 people to 10 people to support a party based on race. We could say that if it is just the PNM and UNC. But with the advent of the Progressive Empowerment Party and other strong options, it shouldn't still be such a low voter.
So then why is that happening? Because, I mean, this was one of the most, in my memory, this is in my memory, the most vociferous campaign of any local government election I have seen. I have seen strong brand showings from yourself, the NTA, PDP, in addition to the PNM and the UNC, and several independent candidates hitting the ground. Yet, we see this low voter turnout and apathy. Why?
What is the point of making this up? At some point, it's become institutionalized to ridicule government and ridicule election. It benefits those who are corrupt and divisive in society, that people not involve themselves in the process, that people feel that somehow it is too time. And we all, every single one of us that is a serious political vehicle that wants to give the people representation, we have to ask ourselves introspectively why the voter turnout is so low. I want to make one more point. Last night, Glenn Robinson, senior member of our Diego Martin team, sent a voice note from Marsha Walker. Marsha Walker did through arithmetic. I am not going to disrespect anybody this morning as much as I believe this requires some political links. Marsha did some quick arithmetic and she said that the PNM got 1199, she got 1132, she got 799. I'm just averaging the numbers, and that the THC got 20 or 25, and the PDP got 232. And in her mind, she did a quick math. She said if all of those votes had come to the UNC, she would have beat the PNM. And then she went on to say a vote for the PDP is a vote for the PNM because it didn't allow you to win. But what the UNC and their narrative peddling are failing to understand is that we brought those people out to vote for us. If we were not there, they, like the rest of the 700,000 people that said no thanks, were not coming out. Marsha was stuck at her 799 with or without the PDP. I'll go further. Because we gas up the country to come out and vote, the Progressive Empowerment Party campaigned so hard. But between nomination day and campaign day, the size of the party changed. And we went into this election as the PDP of June 6th. The PDP of August 15th had an entire nation going to polling stations looking to vote for a party that barely had a third of the districts nominated. So those people, and I got hundreds of messages yesterday, they voted for this one, they voted for that one, they did this against vote, they spoiled the ballot, they didn't vote at all, they put in empty, all of that. But the Progressive Empowerment Party's impact on the election brought people out that may have benefited her. But it is foolish in the extreme for the UNC to continue to peddle this nonsense that votes belong to them. And I will go further to say this. It's time for us to start adopting something like the United States primary model, where all of the potential candidates vying for the election fight each other to find who will be the main contender to take on the incumbent. That is something we need to consider, because we cannot continue to go forward with this misunderstanding of how politics is supposed to work, and it is muddy in the water. The UNC, and I have to agree with your last commentator, the UNC muddied the water for the election. They spent a lot of money distracting. They tried to damage us. They didn't debate us. They didn't campaign against us. They didn't raise competing issues. They just tried to damage us. In the last 3 weeks of the election, I put my party on ignore Gary Griffin, ignore the news, ignore the attacks. We will not respond. We will let them run their route, and we will continue to build our party. What we found on election day is a lot of genuine support. I am dismayed that we did not break through the stranglehold of the duopoly of race, but I am confident and encouraged that coming out of the experience of this election, the work that was done, 2025 is going to be a horse of a different color.
Well, we are out of time. We want to thank you for your contribution to our shows in the last 4 weeks and making yourself available, and wish you and your party and your supporters and your colleagues all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Right. It's Philip Alexander, political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and has a hectic show this morning.
Yeah.
Right, looking at Mr. Paul.
Well, that's on this weekend for one show only, and it's the
On
final
cue, boy. On cue.
and it's the final show it's the final showing of this play at Cipriani College. I mean, we had such a wonderful audience in South. We decided to do one more. So many people were calling for us to come back to CLR, Cipriani College. So we have one show at Cipriani College on Saturday night. That's it. That'll be the end of this play. We've had some excellent comments from people who've seen the play over the last few weeks. And you can see all of those comments from people who've come out to the play on RSRR Productions Theatre. Tickets will be on sale from later today, and certainly from tomorrow. Tickets are available at the box office at Cipriani College from 12 noon to 6 p.m. tomorrow. And all outlets will have tickets tomorrow for sure. As we head towards this weekend, one show only on Saturday night. What you're looking at Miss 04 as it comes to an end. It's our final show as we move on to our next project, which starts up at the end of September.
Have a great day. You all be safe out there. It's raining, so be careful on the roads.
Yeah, it's going to be a wet one today. All right. Let's get into our 8 o'clock.